This time I would like to make a promotional video for my website, ImperialGermans.com. My website focuses on the Imperial German survival myth and is a repository for all documents that portray the truth about the Hollow Earth and the Imperial Germans. I will build up the site as I go along and keep adding interesting photos and documents as I find them. First, a short introductory video about my website. Well, that is my website, ImperialGermans.com. And it is the documents part of the website. You just have to click on documents. And on this part, I show the Hollow Earth maps of the Imperial Germans with my own text to it. It's just a repository for all kinds of documents. Even the Haunebu 1 flight gyro schematics from the SS E4 secret archives. Showing also Haunebu 1, a flight gyro spacecraft. I added the translation in English for anybody who is interested. Can practically check out this information. That is from 1944. The translation says that it's from 1944. And at that time, they had 2 Haunebu 1s, 2 Haunebu 2s, and 3 Haunebu 3s, and 17 Vril 1s. The number of Andromeda devices they did not depict. That is the flight gyro schematics of the Haunebu 2, and I also added the translation. Is the date of the Haunebu 2 is 7th of November 1943. So they already had practically these anti-gravitic spacecraft before the end of the war. That is the Haunebu 3 schematics and also the translation Haunebu 4. Not much information over the Haunebu 4, but it was a spacecraft of 120 meters in diameter. The last document that I portray here is the Andromeda device. In a high resolution version of it, and also the translation. That is the statistics department of my website. It's Imperial Germans Exodus World War II, table of transport capacity. Again, it's the documents that we have practically from that time, 1943, 1944, that we know how many Haunebu 2s were available and Haunebu 1s. Here's a table portraying the number of Haunebus available at that time and their transport capacity. And of course the Andromeda device. I assume that they only had 1 in operation by 1945, could be more. And the number of U-boats is at 5, although it could be higher. So this is just an assumption. The velocity we got from the table, 20 kph for a U-boat, might also be faster. Nevertheless, here we have the number of round trips per day or in hours. A number of days, of course, and numbers of round trips for 1 whole year. So if they would have these 1944, and they would transport 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days, non-stop, by just changing the crew, that is also possible and done in modern aircraft and modern modern transportation. That is done all the time. So it could be possible that if they're in operation all the time, they would come to a number of 316,444 people. Assumably, if you have 35% of transported materials or more, this could be a number that is lower. That is just what they could have done in 1 year. So I went out and assumed that they could have transported over 300,000 people and 170,000 pieces of hardware. They could have transported 300,000 people in 1 year. Now, if the Imperial Germans, with what they had available in 1944, could have transported around 300,000 persons and materials to the northern colony of New Swabia in 1 year. If we assume an annual growth rate of 7% per year, the doubling time of the population is 10 years. So if we assume that there were 300,000 people settled in the inner colony of New Swabia in 1945, the doubling time is again 10 years. This would lead to a population in 2015 of 38.4 million. Now, if the numbers were less, like 100,000 or 50,000, then those would be around 16, 17 million. This is just a guess, practically. I believe that they had the possibility of transporting that many people. Of course, it depends on the numbers, of course, and it is just a modulation practically of what it could be. So the inner urban population could have been 40 million by now if it transported 300,000 people by the end of the war in 1945 with the available ships and the available Haunobus and Andromeda devices that they had. Well, that is the photos part of my website, and I added the Orion Conspiracy pictures of the Andromeda device. These are really beautiful pictures. I believe that they're real. Real pictures released in a documentary because they couldn't be released in the normal way. These are the pictures of the Orion Conspiracy documentary, and I believe that these are Andromeda devices depicted. This is a picture from the Vril Odin in 1945 that practically went to Aldebaran in 1945 from the book Unternehmen Aldebaran from Jan Udo Howley. This photo was made in April of 1945. This website is practically still being built up, and I will add pictures and documents as I go along. Well, that is the video part of my website. I, of course, added my own video, The Imperial German Survival Myth, because it has a lot of evidence and a lot of photographs and a lot of video footage in it. I added Randolph Winters on Imperial German UFOs, that part from the Randolph Winters tapes where he speaks about the Imperial Germans and clearly shows us video and photographs. There is a video about the Imperial German Andromeda device, or cigar-shaped UFO, stabilized and zoomed. Also the Rhode Island video I added here, and of course the night vision footage of the Haunobor frill for flight gyros. This is practically a website that is focused practically on spreading the information about the Imperial Germans, and it's my personal website. Feel free to check it out. As you could have seen in the video, I made a table using the available data on the documents. With this data, I can compute the exact transport capacity, and knowing that the Germans made contingency plans for the war's loss and continuation of the war even after losing Germany itself, the Imperial Germans had the capacity to transport up to 300,000 people in 1 year. That is quite a large number. Knowing that over 17 million Germans were brutally slaughtered and killed during the Zionist genocidal campaign of World War II, an additional 300,000 people to this number of lost people is not far off. I believe the Inner Earthen Colony has a population of 20 million. It could be more again. I rely on data and speculation, and of course counting it up. And we know that the Imperial Germans have a good family policy, and that they would get many children and upbreed their population. So yes, if 300,000 people did evacuate to the Inner Earthen Colony of New Swabia back in 1945, then the population by now could have been up to 40 million if it has a growth rate of 7% per year, which I think is more than possible with the family policy that the Imperial Germans have. I will keep working on the site and will keep adding interesting factual information as I go along. I hope you enjoyed this video, and well, feel free to subscribe, comment and rate this video, and see you next time.